Okay, this is On Sirens de Serenes. This is Alistair Crowley's Book of Wisdom and Folly. Concerning the love of women, O my son, it is written in the book of the law that all is freedom, if it be done unto Our Lady Nuit. Yet also there is this consideration, that for every Parsifal there is a country. Thou mayst eat 1,000 fruits of the garden, but there is one tree whose name for thee is poison. In every great initiation is an ordeal, wherein appeareth a siren or vampire, appointed to destroy the candidate. I have myself witnessed the blasting of not less than 10 of my own flowers, that I tended when I was Nemo, and that although I saw the canker worm and knew it and gave urgent warning, now then consider deeply in thyself if I were rightly governed in this action according to the Tao. For we that are magicians work without fear or haste, being omnipotent in eternity, and each star must go his way. And who am I that I should save this people? Wilt thou smite me as thou smotest the Egyptian yesterday? Yea, although mine were the might to save these 10, I reached not forth my arm against iniquity. I spake and I was silent, and that which was appointed came to pass. As it is written, the pregnant goddess hath let down her burden upon the earth. And a certain woman, de femina quadam, knowest thou for what cause I am moved to write this unto thee, my son, only begotten child of magic and of mystery? It is that I, thy father, am also in this ordeal of initiation at this hour. For the sun is nigh unto the end of the sign of the fishes in the 13th year of the aeon, and the new current of high magic leapeth forth as a flood from the womb of my true lady Babylon. And a word hath come to me by the mouth of the scarlet woman, whose name is Eve, or Ahitha, concerning the temple of Iupiter that is builded for me, and therein is a woman appointed to a certain office. Now this woman appeared to me in a vision when I was in the house of the juggler by the lake among the mountains, the sun being in Cancer in the 11th year of the aeon, even in the week after thy birth. And I think this woman to be her whom I call Wesran. Even while with a pure heart I did invoke her, there came unto me another like unto her, so that I am confused in my mind and bewildered. And this other woman stirreth my true nature in its depths, so that I will not call it love, for the voice of love I know of old. But this other woman speaketh in a tongue whereof I have no understanding. On her virtue de sua virtute. What then shall I do herein? For the scarlet woman adjureth me by the great name of God, Aithuphalos, that I deal with this other woman as with any woman according to my will. But this I fear, for that she is not as any woman, and I deem her to be the vampire of this ordeal. How then shall I fear, said I not once long since, when I was called of men, Eliphas Levi Zached, that the error of Oedipus was that he should have tamed the Sphinx and ridden her into Thebes? Shall I not take this vampire, if she be such, and master her and turn her to the great end? Am I such a man as should flee? Is not all fear the word of failure? Shall I distrust my destiny? Am I that am the word of the aeon of so little avail that even the whole powers of Coronson can disperse me? Nay, O my son, there is courage of ignorance and discretion of knowledge, but beyond these is courage of knowledge, and by no less virtue will I win through unto mine end. As it is written, with courage conquering fear will I approach thee. Uncertain methods of seeking an oracle. De alicubus modis raculi petendi. My son, in all judgment and decision is great delicacy, but most in these matters of the will, for thou art advocate as well as judge, and unless thou have well organized thy mind, thou art bond slave of prejudice. For this cause it is adjuvant to thy wisdom to call witnesses that are not of thine own nature, and to ask oracles whose interpretation is bound by fixed rule. This is the use of the book tarot, of the divination by earth, or by the other elements, or by the book Ye King, and many another mode of truth. Thou knowest by thine experience that these arts deceive thee not, save in so far as thou deceivest not as thou deceivest thyself. So then to thee thou art Nemo, is no siege perilous at this table, but to them that are yet below the abyss is very notable danger of error. Yet must they train themselves constantly in these modes, for experience itself shall teach them how the bias toward their desires reacteth in the end against themselves, and hindereth them in the execution of their wills. Nevertheless, as thou well knowest, the best mode is the creation of an intelligible image by virtue of the Mass of the Holy Ghost, declaring the true will unto thee in terms of thy Kabbalah. On the Black Brothers, sons of iniquity. De fratribus nigris filis iniquitatis. Of the Black Brothers, O my son, will I write these things following? I have told thee already concerning change. How is it the law? Because every change is an act of love under will. So then he that is adept exempt, whether in our holy order or another, may not remain in the pillar of mercy, because it is not balanced, but is unstable. Therefore is the choice given unto him whether he will destroy his temple and give up his life, extending it to universal life, or whether he will make a fortress about that temple and abide therein in the false sphere of death, which is in the abyss. And to the adepts of our holy order this choice is terrible, by cause that they must abandon even him whose knowledge and conversation they have attained. Yet, O my son, they have much help of our order in this aeon, because the general formula is love, so that their habit itself urgeth them to the bed of Our Lady Babylon. Know then the Black Brothers by these true signs of their initiation of iniquity, that they resist change, restrict and deny love, fear death, percutiantur, and the virtue of surgery, de virtute chirurgica. Know that the cult of the slave gods is device of those Black Brothers. All that stagnateth is thereof, and thence cometh not stability, but putrefaction. Endure not thou the static standards, nay, neither in thought nor in action. Resist not even the change that is the rottenness of Coronson, but rather speed it, so that the elements may combine by love under will. Since the Black Brothers and their cults set themselves against change, do thou break them asunder. Yea, though of bad come worse, continue in that way. For it is as if thou didst open an abscess, the first effect being noisome exceedingly, but the last cleanness. Heed not then whoso crieth anarchy and immorality, and heareth say against thee, and feareth to destroy abuse, lest worse things come of it. For the will of the universe in its wholeness is to truth, and thou dost well to purge it from its costiveness. For it is written that there is no bond that can unite the divided but love, so that only those complexes which are in truth simplicities, being built cell by cell into an unity by virtue of love under will, are worthy to endure in their progression. On the four lesser operations of the microcosmic star. De aperibus stellae microcosmi coram sunt quatuor minores. I have already written unto thee, O my son, of the paradox of liberty, how the freedom of thy will dependeth upon the bending of all thy forces to that one end. But now learn also how great is the economy of our magic, and this will I declare unto thee in a figure of the Holy Kabbalah, to wit, the formula of the Tetragrammaton. Firstly, the effect of the operation of Yod and He is not Vau only, but with Vau appeareth also a new He as a byproduct, and she is mysterious, being at once the flower of the three others and the poison. Now by the operation of Vau upon that hair is no new creation, but the daughter is set upon the throne of her mother, and by this is rekindled the fire of Yod, which consuming that virgin doth not add a fifth person, but balanceth and perfecteth all. For this Shin, that is the Holy Spirit, pervadeth these and is immanent. Thus in three operations is the pentagram formulated, but in the figure of that star these operations are not indicated, for the 5 lines of force connect not according to any of them, but 5 new operations are made possible, and these are the works proper to the perfected man. Firstly, the work which lieth level the Vau with the hair is of the yang and the yin, and marketh one the human with the divine, as in the attainment of the master of the temple. Yet this work hath its perversion, which is of death. Thus then, for these 4 works, they pertain all to the natural formula of the cross and rose, and the 4 major operations of the microcosmic star. De operibus stellae microcosmi quorum sunt quatuor maiores. O my son, behold now the mystery and virtue of the silver star. For of these 4 works not one leadeth to the crown, because Tetragrammaton hath his root only in Chokmah. So therefore the formula of the rosy cross availeth no more in the highest. Now then in the pentagram are 2 lines that invoke spirit, though they lead not thereunto, and they are the works of He and He, and of Yod with Va. Of these twain, the former is a work magical of the nature of music, and it draweth down the fire of the higher by seduction and or bewitchment. Shall I say enchantment? Shall I say incantation? It is song. But bewitchment is a work opposite thereunto, whose effect formulateth itself by direct creation in the sphere of its purpose and intent. But there remain yet 2 of the 8 works, namely the straight aspiration of the Chaya, or creator in thee to the crown, and the surrender of the Nefesh, or animal soul, to the possession thereof. And these be the twin geodesic formulae of the final attainment, being archetypes of the paths of magic, the one, and mysticism, the other, unto the end. From each of these 8 works is derived a separate mode of practical use, each after his kind, and it should be well for thine instruction if thou study upon these my words and found upon them a system. O my son, forget not the arcanum of the balance and proportion, for herein lieth the mystery of the holiness. On the macrocosmic star, de stella macrocosmi. Thus far then concerning the pentagram, how it is of the cross and its virtue in the highest, but the hexagram is for the most part a detail of the formula of the rose and cross. Already have I showed unto thee how the most holy Trinity is the yang, but the spirit and the water or fluid and the blood that bear witness in the inferior are the yin. Thus, the operation of the hexagram lieth wholly within the order of one plane, uniting indeed any soul with its image, but not transcendentally, for its effect is cosmos, the vow that springeth from the union of the yod and the hair. Thus is it but a glyph of only that first formula, not of the others. But of all these things shalt thou thyself make study with ardent affection, for therein lie many mysteries of practical wisdom in our magic art, and this is the wonder and beauty of this work. For every man is his own palace. Yea, this is life, that the secrets of our order are not fixed in dead, as are the formulae of the outer. Know that in the many thousand times that I have performed the ritual of the pentagram, or the invocation of the heart girt with a serpent, or the mass of the phoenix, or of the Holy Ghost, there has not been one time wherein I did not win new light, or knowledge, or power, or virtue, save through mine own weaknesses, or error. On his woman Olun, and on the ecstasy that surpasses all, de sua femina Olun et de extasia praeter omnia substanti. My son, I am inflamed with love. I burn up eagerly in the passion that thus mightily consumeth me. Yet in myself I know not at all that which constraineth me. It is Nuit herself invisibly that embraceth me and enkindleth my soul in ecstasy. There is silence in my soul, and the fear round about me, as I were syrinx in the night of the forest. This is a great mystery that I endure, a mystery too great for the mortal part of me, but for now, when I cried out upon the name Olun, which is the secret name of my lady that hath come to me most strangely, then was I rapt away altogether subtly yet fiercely into a trance that hath transformed me with attainment, yet without trace in mind. O my son, there is the transfiguration of glory, and there is the jewel in the lotus flower, yea, also is many another whereof I am partaker. But this last passion that my lady Olun hath brought unto me upon this last day of the winter of the 13th year of the Aeon, even as I wrote these words unto thee, is a mystery of mysteries beyond all these. O my son, thou knowest well the perils and the profit of our path. Continue thou therein, Olan, Mapye, Babylon, Adsum. On the name Olon, de nomine Olon. 4 seasons, or it may be nigh 5, that are past, I, thy father, was in the city called New Orleans. Being in travail of spirit, I did invoke the God It giveth wisdom, bearing the word of the All-Father by his caduceus. Then suddenly, as I began, came as it were a gust of fire whirled forth against that idea, the wit of mine utter identity, so that I ceased crying, Mercurius Sam. Also instantly I knew in myself that there was a mystery therein hidden, and translating into the Greek tongue, I exclaimed, me, whose numeration did I make in my mind forthwith, and it is 418, like unto the word of the aeon. So by this I knew that my works was well wrought in truth. Thus then also was it with this my lady. For after many questions I obtained from the wizard a Malantra, that name O Lun, that is 156, even as that of our Lady Babylon. And then being inspired, I wrote down her earth name in Greek, Mapie, which is also that same most holy number. I will have thee to wit also that this name, as I have learned, is in the Phoenician tongue Wolon, which by interpretation is that which is infinite and space, so that all is consonant rightly with Nuit, our Lady of the Stars. Thus, O my son, is the word of truth echoed throughout all worlds, and thus have the wise mighty assurance in their way. See, O my son, that thou work not without this guard inflexible, lest thou err in thy perceptions. On great men famous in love, de veris magnanimus amore preclarissimis. Know that in the mind of man is much wisdom that is hidden, being the treasure of his sire that he inheriteth. Thus nigh all of his moral nature is unknown to him until his puberty, that is, this nature pertaineth not unto the recording and judging apparatus of his brain, until it is put therein by the stirring of that deeper nature within him. Thou wilt mark also that great men, commonly great lovers, and this is in part because of the general exuberance of energy, but in part also because consciously or not they are aware of this secret following, that every act of love communicateth somewhat of the wisdom stored within him to his percipient mind. Yet must such act be done rightly, according to art, and unless such act is of profit alike to mind and body, it is an error. This then is true doctrine, which, if it be understood aright of thee, shall make diamond clear thy path in love, which to them that know not this is so obscure, perilous, that I believe there is not one man in 10,000 that cometh not to misadventure therein. Unchastity, de castitate. My son, be fervent, be firm, be stable, be quick to mark impurity. How one course of ideas seeketh to infringe upon another, to quell the virtue thereof. Gold is pure, but to drink molten gold were impurity to thy body and its destruction. Law is a code of the customs of a people. If it intrude thereon to alter them, it is an impurity of oppression. So also diet is to be in accord with digestion. Ethics were an impurity therein. Love is an expression of the will of the body, yea, and more also of that which created the body, and its operation is commonly between one and one, so that the interference of any third person is impurity and not to be endured. Nay, even the thought of a third person hath by ordinary no part in love, so that as thou seest constantly in thy life, love, being strong, taketh no heed of others, and some after interference bringeth misfortune. Now then, shall we therefore cast out love or accept impurity therein? God forbid. And for this cause, see thou well to it that in thy kingdom there be no interference therewith, nor hindrance from any, for it is perfect in itself. On the ceremony of the equinox, de ceremonio equinocte, my son, our Father in heaven, hath passed into the sign of the Ram. It is spring. I have performed the rite of union with him according to the antient manner, and I know the word that shall rule this semester. Also it is given unto my spirit to write unto thee concerning the virtue of this rite, and many another of antiquity, and it is this that our forefathers made of these ceremonies an epitome mnemonic, wherein certain truth or true relation should be communicated in a magical manner. Now therefore by the practice of these mayst thou awaken thy wisdom, that it may manifest in thy conscious mind. And this way is of use even when the ceremonies, as those of the Christians, are corrupt and deformed. But in such a case thou shalt seek out the true antient significance thereof, for there is that within thee which remembereth truth, and is ready to communicate the same unto thee when thou hast wit to evoke it from the adytum in the sanctuary of thy being. And this is to be done by this repetition of the formula of that truth. Note thou further that this which I tell thee is the defense of formalism, and indeed thou must work upon a certain skeleton, but cloth it with live flesh. On the light of the stars, de luce stellarum. Okay, I'm going to take a break here. This is back to the Tao Te Ching.
And erect. So intense is its vital power. It can scream its head off all day, yet it never becomes hoarse. So complete is its harmony. The Master's power is like this. He lets all things come and go, effortlessly, without desire. He never expects results. Thus he is never disappointed. He is never disappointed. Thus, his spirit never grows old. 56. Those who know don't talk. Those who talk don't know. Close your mouth. Block off your senses. Blunt your sharpness. Untie your knots. Soften your glare. Settle your dust. This is the primal identity. Be like the Tao. It can't be approached or withdrawn from, benefited or harmed, honored or brought into disgrace. It gives itself up continually. That is why it endures. 57. If you want to be a great leader, you must learn to follow the Tao. Stop trying to control. Let go of fixed plans and concepts, and the world will govern itself. The more prohibitions you have, the less virtuous people will be. The more weapons you have, the less secure people will be. The more subsidies you have, the less self-reliant people will be. Therefore, the Master says, I let go of the law, and people become honest. I let go of economics, and people become prosperous. I let go of religion, and people become serene. I let go of all desire for the common good, and the good becomes common as grass. 58. If a country is governed with tolerance, the people are comfortable and honest. If a country is governed with repression, the people are depressed and crafty. When the will to power is in charge, the higher the ideals, the lower the results. Try to make people happy, and you lay the groundwork for misery. Try to make people moral, and you lay the groundwork for vice. Thus the master is content to serve as an example and not to impose her will. She is pointed, but doesn't pierce. Straightforward, but supple. Radiant, but easy on the eyes. 59. For governing a country well, there is nothing better than moderation. The mark of a moderate man is freedom from his own ideas. Tolerant like the sky, all-pervading like sunlight, firm like a mountain, supple like a tree in the wind. He has no destination in view, and makes use of anything life happens to bring his way. Nothing is impossible for him. Because he has let go, he can care for the people's welfare, as a mother cares for her child. 60. Governing a large country is like frying a small fish. You spoil it with too much poking. Center your country in the Tao, and evil will have no power. Not that it isn't there, but you'll be able to step out of its way. Give evil nothing to oppose,
Okay, great.
and it will disappear by itself. 61. When a country obtains great power, it becomes like the sea. All streams run downward into it. The more powerful it grows, the greater the need for humility. Humility means trusting the Tao, thus never needing to be defensive. A great nation is like a great man. When he makes a mistake, he realizes it. Having realized it, he admits it. Having admitted it, he corrects it. He considers those who point out his faults as his most benevolent teachers. He thinks of his enemy as the shadow that he himself casts. If a nation is centered in the Tao, if it nourishes its own people and doesn't meddle in the affairs of others, it will be a light to all nations in the world. 62. The Tao is the center of the universe, the good man's treasure, the bad man's refuge. Honors can be bought with fine words. Respect can be won with good deeds. But the Tao is beyond all value, and no one can achieve it. Thus, when a new leader is chosen, don't offer to help him with your wealth or your expertise. Offer instead to teach him about the Tao. Why did the ancient masters esteem the Tao? Because, being one with the Tao, when you seek, you find. And when you make a mistake, you are forgiven. That is why everybody loves it. 63. Act without doing, work without effort. Think of the small as large, and the few as many. Confront the difficult while it is still easy. Accomplish the great task by a series of small acts. The master never reaches for the great. Thus,
Okay, Ben, I'm going to restart this room. If you want to join the next room, go right ahead.
she achieves greatness. When she runs into a difficulty, she stops and gives herself to it. She doesn't cling to her own comfort. Thus, problems are no problem for her. 64. What is rooted is easy to nourish. What is recent is easy to correct. What is brittle is easy to break. What is small is easy to scatter. Prevent trouble before it arises. Put things in order before they exist. A giant pine tree grows from a tiny sprout. The journey of 1,000 miles starts from beneath your feet. Rushing into action, you fail. Trying to grasp things, you lose them. Forcing a project to completion, you ruin what was almost ripe. Therefore, the master takes action by letting things take their course. He remains as calm at the end as at the beginning. He has nothing, thus has nothing to lose. What he desires is non-desire. What he learns is to unlearn. He simply reminds people of who they have always been. He cares about nothing but the Tao. Thus, he can care for all things. 65. The ancient masters didn't try to educate the people, but kindly taught them to not know. When they think that they know the answers, people are difficult to guide. When they know that they don't know, people can find their own way. If you want to learn how to govern, avoid being clever or rich. The simplest pattern is the clearest. Content with an ordinary life, you can show all people the way back to their own true nature. "66. All streams flow to the sea because it is lower than they are. Humility gives it its power. If you want to govern the people, you must place yourself below them. If you want to lead the people, you must learn how to follow them. The master is above the people, and no one feels oppressed. She goes ahead of the people, and no one feels manipulated. The whole world is grateful to her, because she competes with no one. No one can compete with her. 67. Some say that my teaching is nonsense. Others call it lofty, but impractical. But to those who have looked inside themselves, this nonsense makes perfect sense. And to those who put it into practice, this loftiness has roots that go deep. I have just 3 things to teach: simplicity, patience, compassion. These three are your greatest treasures. Simple in actions and in thoughts, you return to the source of being. Patient with both friends and enemies, you accord with the way things are. Compassionate toward yourself, you reconcile all beings in the world. 68.
Okay, this is back to Crowley. This is Liber Aleph Val CX I, the Book of Wisdom or Folly. De luce stellarum, on the light of the stars. It was that most holy prophet, thine uncle, who called upon earth, William O'Neill or Blake, who wrote for our understanding these 11 sacred words. If the sun and moon should doubt, they'd immediately go out. O my son, our work is to shine by force and virtue of our own natures, without consciousness or consideration. Now, notwithstanding that our radiance is constant and undimmed, it may be that clouds gathering about us conceal our glory from the vision of other stars. These clouds are our thoughts, not those true thoughts, which are but conscious expressions of our will, such as manifest in our poesy, or our music, or are the flower ray of our light quintessential. Nay, the cloud thought is born of division and of doubt, for all thoughts, except they be creative emanations, are witnesses to conflict within us. Our settled relations with the universe do not disturb our minds, as by example, our automatic bodily functions which speak to us only in the sign of distress. Thus all consideration is demonstration of doubt. Doubt postulateth duality, which is the root of Caranson, ansong de cantu. So then, O my son, here is my wisdom, that the voice of the soul in its true nature, eternal and unchangeable, comprehending all, is silence in the voice of the soul, dynamic in the way of its will, is song. Nor is there any form of utterance that is not a song, is the music proper to that motion, according to the law. Thus as thy cousin Arthur Martian hath rejoiced to make plain unto men in his books called hieroglyphics, the first quality of art is its ecstasy. So to nigh all men at one time or other cometh joy of creation, with the belief that their utterance is holy and beautiful, glorious with banners. This would indeed be the case, and we could discern the thought from the words, but because they have no technical skill to express themselves, they do not enable others to reproduce or recreate the original passion which inspired them, or even any memory thereof. Understand then what is the agony of the great soul, who hath every key of paradise at his girdle, when he would open the gate of holiness, or of beauty, or of any virtue soever, to the men of his age. On human stupidity, de stultitia humana. Know that a mind can apprehend only those things with which it is already familiar, at least in part. Moreover, it will ever interpret according to the distortion of its own lenses. Thus, in a great war, all speech soever may be understood as if it were of reference thereunto, also a guilty person or a melancholic may see in every stranger an officer of justice, or one of them that are banded together him seemeth to persecute him, as the case may be. But consider, moreover, that the mysterious is ever the terrible for vulgar minds, How then, when a new word is spoken, either it is not heard, or it is understood awry, and it evoketh fear and hate as a reaction against fear, then men take him and set him at naught, and spit upon him, and scourge him, and lead him away to crucify him. And the third day he riseth from among the dead, and ascendeth into heaven, and sitteth at the right hand of God, and cometh to judge the quick and the dead. This, O my son, is the history of every man unto whom is given a word. On his struggle, de suo proedio. Now therefore thou seest how men take the son of science, and burn him for a sorcerer or a heretic, the poet, and cast him out as reprobate, the painter as deforming nature, the musician as denying harmony, and so for every new word. How much more then if the word be of universal import, a word of revolution, and of revelation in the deep of the soul, a new star that is for the astronomers, and maybe sitteth them by the ears, but a new sun that were for all men, and a seed of tumult and upheaval in every land. Consider in thyself, therefore, what is the might of the adepts, the energy of the sanctuary, that can endow one man with the word of an aeon, and bring him to the end in victory, with his chariot wreathed in flowers, and his head bound round with a fillet of blood-honored laurel. My son, thou art entered into the battle, and the men of our race and of our clan return not save in glory. De necessitate verbi clamandi, on the need for declaring the word. He that striveth against his own nature is witless, he worketh not his will, darkening counsel in himself, denying his own God, and giving place to Caranzon. So then his work becometh hodgepodge, and he is shattered and dispersed in the abyss. Nor is it better for him if he do this for the supposed good of another, yea, for that other is it evil also in the end of the matter. For to manifest thine own division to another, and to deceive him, is but to confirm him in blindness or illusion, and to hinder or to deflect him in his way. Now to do thine own will is to leave him free to do his own will, but to mask thy will is to falsify one of the beacons by which he may steer his ship. My son, all division of the soul that begetteth nerve storm and insanity cometh from wrong adjustment to reality and to fear thereof. Wilt thou then hide truth from thy brother, lest he suffer? Thou dost not well, but confirmest him in iniquity and in illusion, and in infirmity of spirit. And the universal Eucharistic mystery, de mysterio Eucharistico universale. My son, heed also this word of thine uncle William O'Neill, everything that lives is holy, yea, and more also every act is holy, being essential to the universal sacrament. Knowing this, thou mayst conform with that which is written in the book of the law, to make no distinction between any one thing and any other thing. Learn well to apprehend this mystery, for it is the great gate of the college of understanding, whereby each and all of thy senses become constant and perpetual witnesses of the one Eucharist, whereunto also they are ministers. So then to thee every phenomenon, soever is the body of Nuit and her passion, for it is an event, that is, the marriage of some one point of view with some one possibility. And this state of mind is notably an appurtenance of thy grade of master of the temple, and the unveiling of the arcanum of sorrow, which is thy work as it is written in Liber Magi, moreover this state assimilated in the very marrow of thy mind is the first step toward the comprehension of the arcanum of change, which is the root of the work of a magus of our holy order. O my son, bind this within thine heart, for its name is the beatific vision. On rightness in the fundament, de recto in recto. Now also then I bid thee use all filial diligence, and attend to this same word in the mouth of thine earliest ancestor, except we adventure to invoke the name Fusai, or Fusi, in our known genealogy, the most holy, the true man Lao Tse, that gave his light unto the kingdom of flowers. For being questioned concerning the abode of the Tao, he gave answer that it was in the dung. Also, again, the Tathagata, the Buddha, most blessed, most perfect, and most enlightened, added his voice, that there is no grain of dust which shall not attain to be Arhan. Keep therefore in just balance the relation of illusion to illusion, in that aspect of illusion, neither confusing the planes nor confounding the stars, nor denying the laws of the reaction, yet with eagle's vision, beholding the one sun of the true nature of the whole. Verily this is the truth, and unto it did also Dionysus and Tahuti and Sri Krishna set the seal of the witness. Cleanse therefore thine heart, O my son, in the waters of the great sea, and enkindle it with the fire of the Holy Ghost, for this is his peculiar work of sanctification. On the Blessed Virgin, De Virgine Beata. Understand then well this mystery of universal godliness, for it is the naked beauty of the Virgin of the world. Lo, since the end is perfection, as I have already shown unto thee, and since also every event is inexorably and ineluctably interwoven in the web of their fate, it is certain that every phenomenon is, as thou art sworn to understand, a particular dealing of God with thy soul. Yea, and more also, it is a necessary rubric in this ritual of perfection. Turn not therefore away thine eyes, for that they are too pure to behold evil, but look upon evil with joy, comprehending it in the fervor of this light that I have enkindled in thy mind. Learn also that everything soever is evil, if thou consider it as a part, static, and in division, and thus in a degree, must thou apprehend the mystery of change, for it is by virtue of change that this truth of beauty and holiness is made steadfast in the universe. O my son, there is no delight sweeter than the continuous contemplation of this marvel and pageant that is ever about thee. It is the beatitude of the Beatitudes.
Best athlete wants his opponent at his best. The best general enters the mind of his enemy. The best businessman serves the communal good. The best leader follows the will of the people. All of them embody the virtue of non-competition. Not that they don't love to compete, but they do it in the spirit of play. In this, they are like children, and in harmony with the Tao. 69. The generals have a saying: rather than make the first move, it is better to wait and see. Rather than advance an inch, it is better to retreat a yard. This is called going forward without advancing, pushing back without using weapons. There is no greater misfortune than underestimating your enemy. Underestimating your enemy means thinking that he is evil. Thus, you destroy your three treasures and become an enemy yourself. When two great forces oppose each other, the victory will go to the one that knows how to yield. 70. My teachings are easy to understand and easy to put into practice. Yet your intellect will never grasp them, and if you try to practice them, you'll fail. My teachings are older than the world. How can you grasp their meaning? If you want to know me, look inside your heart. 71. Not knowing is true knowledge. Presuming to know is a disease. First realize that you are sick. Then you can move toward health. The master is her own physician. She has healed herself of all knowing. Thus, she is truly whole. 72. When they lose their sense of awe, people turn to religion. When they no longer trust themselves, they begin to depend upon authority. Therefore, the master steps back so that people won't be confused. He teaches without a teaching so that people will have nothing to learn. 73. The Tao is always at ease. It overcomes without competing, answers without speaking a word, arrives without being summoned, accomplishes without a plan. Its net covers the whole universe, and though its meshes are wide, it doesn't let a thing slip through. 74. If you realize that all things change, there is nothing you will try to hold on to. If you aren't afraid of dying, there is nothing you can't achieve. Trying to control the future is like trying to take the master carpenter's place. When you handle the master carpenter's tools, chances are that you'll cut your hand. 75. When taxes are too high, people go hungry. When the government is too intrusive, people lose their spirit. Act for the people's benefit. Trust them.
Okay, we're going to go back into Liber Aleph. This is Book of Wisdom or Folly by Aleister Crowley. On the sport of his mistress, did Joko Sue Moake resist not change, therefore, but act constantly according to thy true nature? For here only thou standest in sorrow. If there be a division conscious of itself, and hindered from its way whose name is love unto its dissolution. It is written in the book of the law that the pain of division is as nothing, and the joy of dissolution all. Now then, here is an art and device of magic that I would declare unto thee, albeit it is a peril if thou be not fixed in that truth and in that beatific vision whereof I have written in the 3 chapters foregoing. And it is this, to create by artifice a conflict in thyself, that thou mayst take thy pleasure in its resolution. Of this play is thy sweet stepmother, my concubine, the holy and adulterous Olun, sublimely mistress, for she invoketh in her fancy 1,000 obstacles to love, so that she shuddereth at a touch, swooneth at a kiss, and suffereth death and hell in the ecstasy of her body. And this is her art, and it is of Nuit Our Lady, for it is a drama or commemoration of the whole mystery of becoming. On the danger of the sports of love, de periculo jocora memori. Yet be thou heedful, O my son, for this art is set upon a razor's edge. In our blood is this great pox of sin, whose word is restriction, as inheritance of our sires that served the slave gods. Thou must be free in the law of Thelema, perfectly one with thy true self, singly and wholly bound in thy true will, before thou durst in prudence invoke the name of Coronton, even for thy good sport and fantasy. It is but to pretend, thou sayest that, and that is sooth. Yet thou must make pretence so well as to deceive thyself, albeit for a moment, else were thy sport savourless. Then an thou have one point of weakness in thee, that thought of thine may incarnate and destroy thee. Verily, the wise enchanter is sure beyond doubt of his charm, ere he toy with a fanged cobra. And thou well knowest that this peril of division in thyself is the only one that can touch thee, for all other evil is but elaboration of this theme of Coronson. Praise therefore thy sweet stepmother, my concubine, the holy and adulteress Olum, and thine own mother, Hilarion, for in this art was she also preeminent. On the unconscious or libido, de libidine secreta. It is said among men that the word hell deriveth from the verb helan, to hele, or conceal, in the tongue of the Anglo-Saxons. It is the concealed place, and this, since all things are in thine own self, is the unconscious. How then? Because men were already aware how this unconscious, or libido, is opposed for the most part to the conscious will. In the slave ages, this is a truth universal, or well nigh to it, for in such times are men compelled to uniformity by the constraint of necessity herself. Yea, of old it was a continual siege of every man, of every clan, of every environment, and to relax, God was then self-murder or else treachery, so that no man might choose his way until he were hunter, fighter, builder, nor any woman, but she must first be breeder. Now in the growth of states by organization came, stealthily stepping a certain security against the grossest perils, so that a few men could be spared from toil to cultivate wisdom. And this was first provided by the selection of a caste pontifical. By this device came the alliance of king and priest, strength and cunning, fortifying each the other through the division of labor and the organization of communities, de ordine civitatum. So presently, O my son, this first organization among men by a procedure parallel to that of the differentiation of protoplasm made the state competent to explore and to control nature, and every profit of this sort released more energy and enlarged the class of the learned, until as it is this day only a small proportion of any man's work must needs go to the satisfaction of the first will, essential in common the provision of shelter, food, and protection. Verily also thou seest many women made free to live as they will, even to the admiration and delight of the sage whose eye laugheth, to contemplate mischief. Thus the duty of every unit toward the whole is diminished, and also the necessity to conform with those narrow laws which preserve primitive tribes in their struggle against environment. Thus the state need suppress only such heresies as directly threaten its political stability, only such modes of life as work manifest and proven hurt to others or cause general disorder by the scandal. Therefore, save and except he interfere thereby with the root laws of common weal, a man is free to develop as he will according to his true nature.
Leave them alone. 76. Men are born soft and supple. Dead, they are stiff and hard. Plants are born tender and pliant. Dead, they are brittle and dry. Thus, whoever is stiff and inflexible is a disciple of death. Whoever is soft and yielding is a disciple of life. The hard and stiff will be broken. The soft and supple will prevail. 77. As it acts in the world, the Tao is like the bending of a bow. The top is bent downward. The bottom is bent up. It adjusts excess and deficiency so that there is perfect balance. It takes from what is too much and gives to what isn't enough. Those who try to control, who use force to protect their power, go against the direction of the Tao. They take from those who don't have enough and give to those who have far too much. The master can keep giving because there is no end to her wealth. She acts without expectation, succeeds without taking credit, and doesn't think that she is better than anyone else. 78. Nothing in the world is as soft and yielding as water. Yet for dissolving the hard and inflexible, nothing can surpass it. The soft overcomes the hard. The gentle overcomes the rigid. Everyone knows this is true, but few can put it into practice.